Welcome.
Welcome to another week.
Yes. So,
Here in the mountains this morning it's rainy
and chilly.
and very chilly. It's winter here in Australia. And now I'm looking at all the US people on my timeline getting ready to go swimming. I'm like, "Ooh, not us here." Oh,
So we want to talk about the trap that so many mothers get into around labels and identification, and kind of completely losing ourselves in because so many of us are so passionate about learning and doing a really, really, really good job of parenting.
we all go and research how to be a mother.
Yeah.
How to parent.
Which is valuable, but we can lose ourselves and lose our intuition and our own core values in all of that. So we want to talk about that. I have a story that I'd love to share of my experience with that, and we have a process, or we have a tiny little bit of
Teeny tiny bit of a process so that we can keep it manageable and alive.
Yeah,
So what we're kind of talking about today then is, as usual, a continuum. On one side, often as we become mothers, we are so passionate and dedicated to our roles, to the job of raising our children, that we go on a massive, what do I need to learn? Because we often don't have a clue when we start. We're just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. So what do we need to learn? What can we do? What can we do? The other thing that happens is we desperately want to find our tribe, especially if for any reason, like we're choosing to parent outside of just the conventional mainstream. And most of the people on our page in some form are choosing to parent somehow outside of the mainstream. And so you're going to want your tribe around you, your community around you, so that you feel safe and affirmed in your parenting as you're trying to get your feet, And that's really a valid, and I think a really important piece. We talk a lot about sisterhood, so we're not saying that that isn't super critical. What we're saying is that when you lose sight, when you get so caught in the boxes and the labels and the philosophies and the shoulds that are attached to all of those boxes, labels and philosophies, you can actually disconnect from your own intuitive knowing, your instinctual and intuitive knowing on how to raise your children.
When all those boxes and labels take the place of that, like they kind of become the baseline or the go-to, like, well, that's how that says it, so that's how I have to do it, regardless of what's going on in here.
The tenets of the philosophy that you must follow.
Yeah.
And the lack of confidence, and actually the shame that comes from not fully meeting, like, oh,
I failed.
Crap, I didn't wear my baby in a sling for 8 hours today. I've wrecked my attachment theory. You can get really caught up, or, oh, my child didn't eat that organic snack, and, whatever it is, whatever label that you're following, it can then get really stressful, and you put a lot of shame and guilt on yourself around it all. In reality, you're taking yourself away from actually more powerful than all of those. Those labels, philosophies, and boxes are meant to support you. They're not meant to box you in and limit you, and they're never meant to take the place of your own intuitive knowing. Within you have your own heart values, your own soul-aligned philosophy on how you want to be in relationship with your children, what's truly important to you as a mother, how you most want to show up. Like, those things are in there, and they might not feel necessarily conscious, like, straight away if you've never thought about it before, but I guarantee you they're in there. They're in everybody. I guarantee you. And when we're not using that as our compass, we get into information overload. We get into all the guilts and the shoulds of the philosophies. We get stressed out that everyone else is the expert and we have no idea how to support our child.
And we get so intensely into, like, comparison, and our ego is very much, like, on high alert of, like, how am I doing? How are they seeing me? How are they judging me? Like,
am
I passing the test?
Am I a natural mother? Am I crunchy enough?
Yeah.
No, I'm drinking coffee today. Oh, that's not... So you can get really caught in it, and Kaya and I have both been there.
Ooh, we're we're still here, I think.
Wow, that was weird. Okay, sorry. This face not good. Is that it? No. Oh, I can't see Facebook. We can't see you anymore. What happened?
What's going on?
No, I think this was Facebook.
Well, we have still both been in it. Hopefully we're still here. We just can't see ourselves.
Oh, there we go. That was weird. My calendar just told me I have a live now. I know
Thanks, calendar.
We've both fallen into that. So, like, this is a really common thing. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a rite of passage, who knows, but it's a very common. And Kay's going to share her story.
Yeah, I would love to share my story because looking in hindsight, it was hilarious, this is just like a bit of the process I went through. But from when I was pregnant with my daughter, I got really kind of obsessed with learning about how to be a really, really, really good attachment conscious parent, and I read so many different books. And
you should see our libraries.
Yeah. And I was on so many different like email groups, and
it's kind of before Facebook, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
There's no Facebook yet.
We were still in Yahoo
I would have
groups.
been in loads of Facebook groups if that existed. And I just so immersed myself in particular paradigms. And at first it was mostly like natural parenting, natural learning, natural health, and it was followed on from natural childbirth. And then I happened to be surrounded by mothers who were very passionate about like organic whole foods and limiting screens and like being outside lots and giving our children as much like time in nature as possible and just eating the most wholesome, healthy foods possible. And it became so important to me, which is all like really wonderful and all fine, and there's nothing wrong with any of that. It's like it can be really, really positive.
Can I add that the reason that it probably was you were so into it is it did actually reflect your own core values.
It did. Like, it totally did. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. Okay.
But I had totally lost myself in it all, and I was making particular labels and particular ways of being like my guideposts, and thinking that they were my truth, to the point where I remember so many times like freaking out because a friend was coming over and my children were maybe not eating up to scratch to how I thought they should be eating. It was like, oh my god, they're actually eating sugar, or they're sitting in front of the screens and someone's going to come over and someone's going to see us. And that's like a bit of a signpost when it's like basing it on what other people think, and them coming over, like they're not coming over so now I can relax, but when they come over I have to freak out. Like I was putting so much pressure on myself. And then there got a point where that got too much, to put that much pressure on myself.
And your kids.
And my children were growing up and they were getting way more of their own autonomy. And there was another value I had around freedom and allowing my children to really choose their own life as well. So I started to want to let go of those labels a little bit more and find other ones. But instead of coming back to my own truth, I just found other labels to replace those ones. So I had a bit of learning to do on this path. So I kind of like wanted to let go of the hardcore, we only eat organic and we only buy organic, and which is like, I actually really love organic, and I do still.
It's a value of yours.
I still predominantly buy organic and eat organic, but letting go of those boxes and those rules.
And the judgment that happens if you're not.
Yeah, totally.
If you eat something that's not organic.
Yes. But instead, I then found another wonderful label to follow, and I found radical unschooling. Because we were already doing natural learning, I was already aware of unschooling. So I found radical unschooling, which is about bringing the philosophy of unschooling into every area of life. So unschooling is about your children can choose their own life, choose their own way of learning, choose their own path. So radical unschooling brings that into food and technology and screens and so they could choose whatever they wanted to eat, and the idea is they self-regulate. And I was like, all right, well, even though I like really am passionate about organics, I'm going to do this radical unschooling thing. I'm going to be a radical unschooling mum. So I'm going to follow this.
Like the label. And she found another tribe that was
I did.
really helpful for
and
her.
I fully focused all that like obsessive learning into that area then of like
New set of books.
yeah. And I went I remember it was actually the second radical or unschooling conference I was at. I remember I was at this unschooling conference. It was amazing. There was so much valuable stuff in there, and there's still so many parts of that I bring in.
Because that also resonates with your
Yes,
values. You don't just
totally.
randomly pick a label or a box. Like, they're ones that actually do resonate with you. Yeah.
Yes, totally. But so I was at this conference, and it was so amazing in so many ways. I was learning so many different things, but there was this point that kind of shook me out of this pattern that I had been in for so long. It was Halloween, and
we don't really do Halloween here in Australia, by the way.
no, so it was a big exciting deal for all the kids, and there was a trick or treat organised at the holiday park we were staying at for the conference, where all of the people in all their holiday homes got loads of lollies, candy, stuff like that, all together, and the children all ran around, and my children literally, they had so much candy, so much.
Still a bit gobsmacked about it.
It was all like artificial colours, artificial flavours, artificial colour and flavour coated refined sugar, pretty much, like bags of it, and then they proceeded to completely like fill their whole bodies up with it, and eat pretty much all of it in one day, and it was this full-on frenzy, and my whole body was like, no, I don't want this. This is not what I want. And then at first my mind's going, this is unschool. This is radical unschooling. It's all good. Like, trust the process. You've got to like not have any limits. Blah 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 blah. And in that intensity where my body was going no way, and there was a message underneath me going, this is not sitting with me. This is not sitting with my intuition. This is not sitting with my values. And I'm not saying that it's wrong or it's like there's any high and mighty. It's just, for me, it wasn't resonating. It kind of shook me out of this pattern that I had been in all these different areas, in the got to eat organic, in the got to be radical unschooling of, I have lost track of the fact that I have my own inner compass, that I have my own inner guidance system around my parenting that is in direct relationship with my unique children, and I don't actually need to follow any one box, holus bolus, because my particular inner guidance system, my flavour, doesn't ever fit into any one box. It brings in so many different boxes and creates my own
uniqueness.
Yes. So I kind of sort of stopped and asked myself, like, what if I let go of the labels? What if I let go of needing any of them? What if I brought little bits in, but I created my own unique path? Which was pretty empowering. And that began my journey on this. Inner truth is so freaking important, which is what we want to share with you.
It's really huge for mothers. It's so huge.
Yeah.
As a mother, you have within you, seriously, your own intuitive wisdom. You know your child better than anyone on the planet. And if you tune into yourself, you will have a unique flavour that you are trying to bring to your role as a mother. And sometimes we pick those boxes and philosophies and labels because they resonate, but then we take them on holus bolus. We don't take out a bit from here and a bit from here. This matches me, this matches me, this. We take the whole thing on, and then we feel a lot of guilt and stress and shame if we or our children don't like meet that.
Yeah. Which actually also, like, on so many different levels, makes parenting so much harder. One level is because when you're stressed about how other people see you, and you're like putting that extra pressure on yourself, it is so hard to relate consciously and
to foster authentic connection.
Yeah, because you're too busy kind of trying to control your children and yourself, and it creates so much dissonance between you.
It's kind of ironic, really, isn't it? Because we see that, like, in one particular philosophy of attachment parenting is really about connection with your child. But when you get so hung up on whether you're doing attachment parenting right and to the fullest degree that you can possibly do it and you tick everything off, you disconnect from yourself and your own intuitive wisdom. And as soon as that happens, you are just that little bit more disconnected from everything else, including your child. And ironically is that complete opposite of the goal of attachment parenting. So we're telling you, come back to your inner wisdom and your heart's truth. And we have so much work on how to do this. And we're going to put a link somewhere in the video on a whole heap of free resources that we've got at the moment, that if you want to go down and explore this a bit more, maybe you're like, yeah, I want to parent my way, not because of the way society, not because the way my tribe is doing it, or not because it meets this philosophy, but because it feels right in my heart. This is where I'm being led. You want that to resurface within you so that it becomes a daily compass. And we can support you in doing all this. It sounds hard. It's not hard at all. It's there. You just need to draw it forwards.
Yeah. And it's kind of just getting reacquainted with that relationship, with those energetic muscles in you. Like your intuition is always there. It's always on some level talking to you. It's always ready to be like the guide, the expert in your parenting.
And you are hearing it, I guarantee you. If you've picked a philosophy because it resonates with you, then in some way you're connecting to your intuition. That's why you picked the philosophy. Like there's a resonance with your heart values. Not the whole philosophy that just turns your power over to an outside expert, but there's a reason that you took on the philosophy, and there's a connection to your intuition there. So there's value in it. Like sometimes you and I, when we read all those books, we learned a ton of stuff that a lot of it was really good and helpful. Like we could apply heaps of it. And a lot of it resonated with our own core values. But if we made that the leader, if we made outside the expert and the book the Bible, and we forgot ourselves in the process, then you're going to run into overwhelm, stress, disconnection. Parenting is going to feel freaking hard all the time and challenging and like you're failing. Yeah, that's where that comes from, all that stuff. So we're encouraging you to let go of that. Come back to your own truth. You have your wisdom as a mother. Guarantee it. So you can go and look at all the resources that we're going to post links on so that you can access them now. But right now in this moment we're going to do a mini piece to get an experience of it. Do we need the heart book? Should I grab the heart book?
I don't think it's specific. Oh yeah, that bit is. So what we're inviting you to do is to...
Hi Karen.
Hello. A big part of coming back to yourself, to your own inner compass, to your own intuition is sort of about stillness and coming back within, like saying hello to your inner self, because when we're lost in all the labels and we're generally in our head, we're up in our head and we're like
outwardly focused
and kind of scrabbling for answers elsewhere. So the first step in all of it, in the other resources that we want to share with you as well, is to come back and take a breath and kind of check back in with yourself, with your own body and your inner space.
Just sit and be with your breath for a few moments. It's a really simple way to just turn back inwards.
Yeah. And then, so we're just going to guide you right now through a really mini process. Just see all those labels, all the philosophies, the dogmas, the different things that
even the ones that you really love and identify with.
Yeah.
Just for this moment.
You can always pick bits
back up again. You can pick them back up, okay? But just for this moment.
Just let them drop away. Like, see yourself put them down, and like, I'm not going to let myself be kind of filled up and cluttered by all this for now.
And I'm not going to use that to define me as who I am as a mother.
And take some deep breaths. And feel for that space inside you that, because we all have this, every single one of us has this. We often call it the inner divine mother or the inner wise mother. Just that place in you that knows your truth as a parent and knows your children like no one else can. And just feel for her, like feel her in your body. And when I say feel her, she is you. She's part of you, but just feel that energy in your body.
That divine energy, the energy of divine love and mothering and nurturance that exists within you. And lots of times you start to feel that in your heart space, like the first time you're doing this. So tune into that energy that exists within you.
And then imagine your children in front of you. Like feel the energy of children or child, however many you have. Feel the energy of them in your presence, in front of you. And with all of these shoulds and labels and everything put aside, just feel the authentic essence, the energy that's between you and your child or you and your children at the moment, with that connection to your inner divine, inner wise mother.
And just breathe into that for a moment, because that might even feel a bit different to you. If you get rid of the fears and the stress you have that your child, that there might be something wrong, or that their child's not performing the way you want, or their behaviour isn't right, or whatever, if you let go of all of that and just feel that divine love and nurturance that you have within you, that intense love you have for that child, and connect to your child on that level, just sit with that for a moment. Beyond all the rights and wrongs and shoulds. Let them all go.
So you have some, and these can always change, they can be ever changing, but you have some core values that you bring to your parenting, that you bring to motherhood, that you bring to your relationship with your children. You don't need to think of them right now, but when they become the driving force, the things, the guiding force, yes. That's when you're very much in your power. So just tune in at the moment today, in this particular context with your children, when you go and talk to them next, when you see them next. What is the energy that you're wanting to bring that just comes through you, that comes through your inner wise mother, inner divine mother, through your core values? What's the energy that you're wanting to bring to your relationship with your children?
This will bubble up from within you. It won't be a head thing, and it won't feel like you're putting information in. This will bubble up as a knowing that feels right and in your body.
So trust what comes.
And it could be something that you might have never considered. It could be I would actually challenge you if what comes to mind is one of those ones that that you say all the time, connection is an important value for me.
Unconditional love.
Yeah. I would challenge you to look a little deeper for this exercise. I'm not saying that's not a core value, it probably is, but I'm saying look for something just a little bit extra, a little bit more, a slightly different flavour.
It could be something a little more specific too. Yeah. Just trust what comes around this particular context with your children, whatever has been going on, whatever dynamics are there between you, what's the truth of what wants to come through for you, the essence, the essential energy that you're wanting to bring to this dynamic. And then we have a few questions to ask, to bring, you can actually just bring that energy, that essence in, just
you can allow that to
in,
just guide you.
Come to them with that in your awareness, embodying and kind of projecting that energy. But then we also have a few questions to ask yourself to
bring it into the practical, bring it into a really how could I implement this right there?
Yeah.
Is that what we're thinking?
Yes, totally. Did you want to ask them? How? So the first one, we're just looking at our heart.
Looking at the book, we've written it all down here for you.
The first one is, how can I embody this energy in my relationship with my children? So when you next see them, how can you embody this? What are some ways that you can be living this?
And allow whatever bubbles up to be it. And even if it sounds random, allow that to be your truth and sit with it.
Yeah.
Maybe after the live you'll sit with it longer because we're trying to be quick. We're not doing so good on the quick today, by the way. Okay.
And the next question is, how can I involve my children in an experience of this? So how can I share it with them? And trust what comes.
Yep. And the last one you might want to think about is, how would I model this to my children? So modeling is one of the most powerful forms of learning for children. How would you model this? If this was a value that you wanted to pass on to your children, may or may not, but imagine if it is, it probably is, how would you model it? So that is putting your inner truth, your wisdom back in as your core alignment. Yeah, and that doesn't say that then you don't go, oh yeah, that philosophy, that little tiny piece of it is perfect for right now. It might be, but it's not your driver. It's not the core deciding factor. Your inner compass is your core deciding factor, and it is your greatest superpower as a mother, hands down. It will keep you on the track. It will keep you aligned to your truth. It will have you showing up in a way that feels good to you as a mother. It will simplify everything. And we only just showed you one teeny tiny contextual piece for today. But if you sat and pulled out all your core values and created a map, which we do that process. So you can come and do that with us if you want. And we'll put a link to that too, maybe. Then you just have your personal parenting philosophy, your guiding compass, and it'll all just be so clear and so there. And man, does it simplify things.
It absolutely does. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you take the labels and the boxes and the philosophies, you take the little pieces out of them that resonate with that inner compass, and you allow them to support, but not dictate.
Yeah, it's very much about shifting the leader from the thinking mind and the ego to the truth, to the intuition, so that the intuition can just let the thinking mind, thank you, let it know, thank you so much for all the diligent study you're doing. It's great. It's so great that you're learning all this stuff. But you can relax. I'm in charge, and I'll take your study. I'll use it, but use it when it really applies to what's really going on.
Yeah. In fact, the mind is super powerful. All that study and all the things that you've put into your mama's toolkit. Once your inner compass comes first and tells you your energy or your direction or whatever it is, then consult the mind and the mama toolbox. What's in line with that? What could help me here? Yeah, just don't do it the other way around. Yeah. Okay, I think we're done, and it was a pretty quiet live today for us. We're a little earlier than usual. I wonder if that was...
Maybe.
Anyway, enjoy, and we'll talk to you next time.
Goodbye.